Welcome, everybody. We would like to start this episode by wishing one of our first and most loyal roadies a happy birthday, and that is my brother, Patrick Kulzicki.
Happy birthday, Pat!
Let's go. This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are your hosts. My name is Ryan. This is Mike. You can find us on the Twitter machine at fantasy_trucker and at Kulz_sports. Mike, are we calling it the Twitter machine? What are we doing? The X?
It's Twitter.
Twitter. Okay, good enough. We'll stick with the whole Twitter thing. Not sure what's going on there, but we're back again, Mike. I think we're live.
We are live.
All right, cracking open a Celsius, getting into it. Life is
our
good, man.
unofficial, official sponsor, Celsius.
Absolutely.
Tropical vibe. There we go. Life's good. This is the official kickoff of draft season.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. We have, a handful of weeks here till the start of the season. What, 5 weeks?
I think so. I'm not sure exactly the day count.
I think it's like the 8th or something. So, 5.5 weeks until first game, which is exciting. I think this week, Thursday, is the Hall of Fame game. Is that right?
Is it really?
Yeah.
That made me very excited. I did not think about that. I completely forgot about the Hall of Fame game, that it's right around the corner. So
I think it's
that's
Thursday. Awesome. So football starting Thursday. We got a lot of camp hype, but fantasy football drafts are going to be going here this next month. So we're going to get you as prepared as possible for your drafts. Reach out on the Twitter machine, as Ryan calls it, and we want to help you. We want to help you with any questions you might have. Reach out if there's a draft position you want us to cover, so we can either do that in a mock or a Twitter thread, etc. So very exciting time of the year for us. The ball is rolling. It's time to lock in this next month and get ready for drafts. Let's win some leagues.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So without further ado, let's buckle up. All right, Mike, what are we getting into today? Redraft quarterback rankings.
Right.
We're gonna run through the full slate.
Yep.
Kind of get into it, hit some hot points, talk about some discrepancies. Just really why we have them ranked the way we have them.
Yeah, totally agree. It's exciting. I mean, these rankings are our Bible for these drafts. This is the order we stand by. We've dialed these in pretty well to where, this is how our teams are being built. A lot of hard work comes in, a lot of research, a lot of, pulling statistics or reflecting on how certain teams are going to end up playing this year. So this is the Bible that we're going by for the next month. It'll constantly be changing, so don't take this specific episode. We will provide information on where we're going to post them. It'll probably be through like a shared Google Drive, shared Google document, Google Sheet that we put into a link tree. And that way we can go in and make adjustments and you can view them live in real time. So, anything else to add, Ryan?
No, I think we should just get right into it. We got a lot of quarterbacks to cover here, and just want to preface, anything that I mention as far as quarterback finish stats, anything like that is all in form of PPR. PPR is standard. It's my motto, and it's what I'm sticking with. And Mike, I mean, rankings are the rankings, right?
Yeah, that's this is our this is a fantasy football analyst's everything. That's what they kind of structure all their drafts around. So Ready to get started here. I think the kind of the approach that we're going to take is just do a very quick review. We've talked about a lot of these players in our dynasty rankings in depth. We'll get into it a little bit, but for the most part, I mean, it's just quick takes, telling you how we feel this year, why they're there. No need to get too deep into the stats. I know Ryan will be pulling some out, pulling
I'll try to keep it brief.
Yeah, but there's no need to be anything more than quick takes. There'll be a couple topics that we stop and talk about, but that's kind of how we're going to deliver it to you guys. So I'll start off with my top 5: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Trevor Lawrence. Ryan's got Patrick Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Fields, and Herbert. We'll talk briefly about why I have Allen 1, why he has Mahomes 1. For me, Allen's the cheat code. He was the original cheat code. He is a little bit more focused this year, I think. He had some personal things come up at the end of last year. I don't really want to speak to that or spread those rumors of what happened there, but yeah, I think he's locked in. I think he got another weapon in Kincaid. James Cook is evolving, so that offense is going to take a step forward. I think you're going to see a healthy, locked-in Allen this year, and when he is that case, he's QB1. So I think we're going to see it again this season.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Allen is a beast. There was no argument there. But, yeah, I have Mahomes at number 1 overall. I mean, the people that bet on him to not succeed last year because of the whole Tyreek thing, they got burned. He came out, he was the number 1 quarterback, threw for a career high of 5,200 yards, led the league in touchdowns. In my opinion, he's the safest bet you can make at the position. So,
yeah. I again, completely agree. Mahomes is my number 1 in Dynasty. I am one of the biggest Mahomes guys you'll find out there from a talent arms perspective. So, simply, I think Allen has a huge bounce back year. That's why I have him as number 1. And then number 3 is Hurts. You can talk about Hurts. I don't have much to add there.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best teams in the league right now with the Eagles. MVP type season last year. He was second in the league in touchdown interception ratio with 20-4. Like, he doesn't make mistakes with the football. The Eagles led the league in designed runs for quarterbacks at 40%. Like, he's a sure bet. And he deserves to be in the top 3.
Yeah, I don't actually agree with him being a sure bet. I think he's really good, and that's why I have him there. But out of the 3 we just mentioned, he's the least sure of a bet, and I think you could probably say that about my next 3, Burrow, Lawrence, and Herbert. I think are all more sure bets, just because their arms better, they're better true quarterbacks, but Hurts obviously has the running aspect. He's got the team built around him, bringing in a couple new running weapons. Thing that I'm a little hesitant about is that I heard some rumors about him potentially not wanting to get as many rushing touchdowns, like kind of easing off, not taking hits in the goal line, that kind of thing. So that we'll see if that's true or if that hurts his fantasy production. But to me, it's like I think this guy just loves the end zone. So I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Less wear and tear on the body. So it makes sense. It's what I came into the offseason under the impression. But you have since swayed my opinion that whole tush push move that they do is just they're going to keep doing it until it stops. Yeah, it really
incredible.
Is. So
yeah. Did you hear about did you hear on the Kelsey podcast hear about them talking about it? Or no, I think it was Pardon My Take talked about it with Dallas Goedert, and it was just like he's like, yeah, I mean, no one can stop us. We could probably go down the entire field only doing that play. Like because Goddard's the one that comes in from behind and carries him, So
yeah.
We'll see. If anyone's going to change out of my top 5 or move like around at all, I may bump Hurts a little bit. But Eagles are solid. They're going to be solid. And then my next guy here at 4 is Joe Burrow, who I'd like to talk about. Obviously the injury we know what the Bengals are. I don't need to elaborate on that. I am worried about this injury. Calves are a nagging injury that could last longer than we hope. You use your calf so often that it can re-aggravate, and it doesn't really have as much time to heal. So I am worried about Burrow. I mean, news could change him in my rankings. How far does he fall? I mean, I don't know, but Lawrence and Herbert, to me, are nipping at his heels. So that's something, if he misses even a week, could change. Lawrence and Herbert could jump him. So that's where I am there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I moved him down to 6, and he's outside my top 5 just because of the whole injury worry. I just think it's going to linger. And I think if he has a slow start to the season, I don't feel comfortable with him being in my top 5. And I have Justin Fields and Justin Herbert above him. I'd feel much more comfortable taking those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you talk about your 4? I know we have a little, this is probably our first big gap, and we actually feel relatively the same on Fields. So go ahead and talk about him. You're the Chicago guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's, with these top 10, we feel great about these guys, but
emphasize your Chicago accent though when you talk Fields.
Okay.
Any Bears player for the rest of time.
Talk like the Chicago. Okay.
Add the accent.
All right, you got it. No problem. So, Justin Fields. I mean, he had the second most rushing yards by any quarterback in the entire NFL history. Okay,
do the accent. You're gonna have to do the accent. I'm gonna stay on you about it.
The accent is it's a soft Chicago. Chicago is not like a hardcore Italian. It's a Chicago. It's like a hot dog with a sandwich, and it is what it is. So
if you go back to your fantasy football analyst Ryan voice and not like your Chicago slinging it on the
fucking streets of Chicago, huh? Yeah, on the movie sets. Okay,
so
fair
let's
enough.
Restart. Here we go.
Yeah,
Justin Fields. How do you feel about Justin Fields, right?
I want him on every team of my fantasy teams this year. The guy's a beast. He was a monster on the ground last year. I think he's going to take enough steps this year in the air to really, really excel and to be the top guy. He finished at quarterback 7 last year. I think with a little bit more of an oomph in the passing arm, be in the top 5. So that's why I got him at 4.
Yeah. No, I think he's in a great spot to having a career year. I mean, he's got some weapons around him now, and another year in an offense and learning that. They've unleashed the legs. We saw that last year, but to be honest, he was a pretty high level passer when they drafted him. So I think he does have the arm, and he'll surprise some people with his arm. I saw his over under was 2,800 yards.
Yeah, it was a little concerning.
I would hammer that. He said he already came out and said he wants 4,000. So you have 1,200 yards of wiggle room there. But to me, Fields is going to be awesome. I'm hesitant to put him in my top 5. I'm not as much of a biased homer as you, but I do think that he is a legit NFL quarterback. And I've said that all along. I was a little concerned last year after that slow start, but you saw him get unleashed. So I'm excited to see him this year. He's going to be awesome. I just have Lawrence, Herbert at my 5-6. Both of them are maybe some of the best quarterback arms and smarts in the league. And I think both of those offenses are going to take a massive step. You have Calvin Ridley. Herbert everything went wrong for them on the injury front in the offense. Then you have Lamar Jackson, who, seems to finally have some stability in that offense. You got a guy coming in that's going to unlock his arm, just like Fields was this year. And just because they've been there together longer, I have Jackson over Fields, but it's hard for me to say anything bad about Fields. It's solely the fact that these guys have done it. I think Lawrence and Herbert are more sure things. And then I have Deshaun Watson at 7. So we can talk about him in a little bit, but I just wanted to explain why Fields is, at 9 instead of 4 like you.
Yeah. No, I mean he's one of the riskier picks of this top 10. So, you have to put that into account. But if he ends up hitting, man, I want to be on that side of things. So that's why I got him at 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about I just mentioned I had Lawrence and Herbert at 5-6, and I gave my little take on both of them. Tell me why you have Herbert at 5. Tell me why you have Lawrence there at 8.
Yeah, Herbert's just got this cannon, man. Like I just watching him play with these Chargers. The reason why it didn't go well last year is they just had an injury-riddled season. I think what was it?
Offensive lineman like Slater.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was something else. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams only played 4 healthy games together. Like that was it. 4 games where they were both on the field. So that's going to hurt any quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, coming in. I just think the Chargers on the
going to be awesome.
Yeah,
he's going to be awesome. And when you said like Herbert's got an awesome arm, he has everything. Anything that you could ask for in a quarterback, he has. Tough. I mean, dude, he's tough. He takes hit. Remember last season when he played with those ribs? Was that last season?
Yeah, fractured rib cartilage.
Stuck it out with his ribs. Like he's got that toughness that we saw on like a Big Ben, and he's just so smart and so good. But anyways,
yeah. I mean, them adding that weapon to Quentin Johnston, I think,
who I think's huge beast. Yeah, I think I had him. I mean, I like to look at my rookie rankings. Go back and look. Actually, I can pull them up right here. But I had Quentin Johnston, right behind JSN. Yeah, right behind JSN is my top dog from wide receiver standpoint, just because of Herbert, and then he's like a more athletic, explosive Mike Williams in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw what Herbert was doing with like Jalen Guyton. Like, he gets these guys involved. So you get someone as talented as Quentin Johnston, man, being the third wide receiver over there. Justin Herbert's in line for a big season. I'm grabbing him. I love drafting him in the 5th round, right around that range.
Yeah. Let's talk just Deshaun Watson. He's 7. I have him at 7. You have him at 9. I have him before Lamar Jackson, and quite honestly, I might change that. But I am high on Watson. I think that offense is going to be great, and I think he is great. His last few healthy seasons, he was a top 5 quarterback. Are we going to see top 5? Certainly, that's his ceiling. I think he's going to take a massive step forward. Knocked off the rust last year. Some of that distraction's gone. Nick Chubb's in his prime. Amari Cooper is probably out of his prime, but he's still such a shark. And then you have Eli Moore, Njoku, physical prime. Eli Moore is coming back to make a statement, and it seems like those two developed a chemistry. So that offense is going to be good. And I can see them, winning the division or being third place, even 4th, honestly. So they have a wide spread there, but to me, I'm betting on that offense to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm betting on them as well. Deshaun Watson, out of the 6 seasons he's been in the NFL, he's had 3 full seasons. And in those 3 full seasons, he's been a top 5 quarterback.
Yep.
So, and honestly, these Cleveland Browns are probably better the team overall than what he had with the Texans. So, better weapons.
Sure. Not even close.
Yeah. So if that's the case, and Watson obviously struggled at the end of last year, but now that he's shaking it off, reports out of camp is looking like he's just a whole different person out there. So yeah, I'm definitely willing to take Deshaun Watson as a QB1.
Awesome. Rounding out my top 10 is Daniel Jones. Let's move there first before we go to your top 10 and Tua. I got Daniel Jones. They signed Barkley. They got Waller. He should take a step forward from an already awesome season. You heard in the offseason that they were going to keep the designed runs that they had with Jones. So I think, nothing really has changed in that offense except good things. He doesn't necessarily have the wide receivers quite yet, but they're going to figure that out. The offense is getting better, so he's in my top 10. I love Danny Dimes.
Yeah, I mean, just
Josh Allen 2.0 or baby Josh Allen.
Danny Dallas.
Danny Dimes
man.
is
Yeah, he's the fact that they signed Saquon and they got that situation figured out is just really bodes well for Daniel Jones. Like he finished as quarterback 9 last year, top 5 rushing quarterback with over 700 yards. Like he's a dog out there. And now they signed who I think is going to be his best target is Darren Waller. So the wide receiver room is shaky, but I don't think you need a great wide receiver room for him to have a top 10 season again.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good last year, and he didn't have Waller, so
there you go.
Takes a step forward.
Yeah,
and then talk to us about Tua in your top 10.
Yeah, with Tua, talk about another risky pick. I'm banking on Tua having a fully healthy season, and last year when we saw him on that run, man, he was just elite. Top 5 in top 5 in touchdown to intercept ratio, top 10 in target percentage. Number 2 in average depth of target. Like this guy is just slinging the ball out there. He's got the best wide receiver duo in the game. That offense was just high powered. So I think they're going to pick up kind of where they left off before that injury. And Tua, I mean, talk about getting a quarterback 1 late. I'm taking that bet.
Yeah. I like Tua. I have nothing bad to say about him. His injuries do worry me just because they were the brain. That being said, like I have him as my 12th. He's got the offense. They're willing to, invest in more speed for him. He's one of the better passers over the middle. He's extremely accurate and he's got the weapons. So, we saw his ceiling was literally number 1. If Tyreek and Waddle are healthy in that offense, then he's going to have a great season. You just need them all to be healthy. So the only person I have in front of him is Dak Prescott at 11. I'm huge on Dak. You also have him at 11. I think Dak – I just think the Cowboys are going to have a good year. I shouldn't say I'm huge on Dak. Like, he's a very good fantasy quarterback because he can get 5,000 yards. He just throws the ball so much. Since that ankle injury, he doesn't really run it as much. So he's going to be slinging it. You have CeeDee Lamb. You have brought in Brandon Cooks, Gallup, of course, and then Pollard, who's just lightning fast. So they have like an offense that they are able to move very fast with. I think CeeDee Lamb, he's my wide receiver 3. I think he has a massive year, and I think Dak's quarterback play, has a lot to stand for that.
Yeah, I think we're high on Dak Prescott, but we're also lower than where he's being drafted. Like he's being drafted as the 10th quarterback, pretty much off the board. So, I mean, I'm kind of wrestling with the idea that Dak is kind of risky as well. Mike McCarthy's taken over play calling now that Kellen Moore is gone. And I don't know if you know this, but Dak set a NFL record last year for someone who's missed 5 games, still tied the league high with interceptions at 15. Like that was his big knock last year. He was inefficient, made mistakes with the football, but he says he's focusing on limiting turnovers this year. There's no way he has over 10. Like he's really trying to dial it in. So I do like Dak Prescott, but there is some risk in there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking that the Cowboys are going to have a good year. I think they might even win that division. The only reason I say that is because are the Eagles going to have as amazing of a season as they had last season?
I think so.
Well, we're going to find out, but it's hard to do that. I mean, it's hard to be that dominant. The NFL, the gap in between talent is so thin. So it's really hard to be that dominant. But anyways, so before we move on, since we've kind of gone through these top 11, what are you thinking for redraft strategy? Like, I think I want one of these top 7 guys. Granted, like if someone falls to you that you're just in love with, and you could probably punt to a Tua Jones or Dak and be just fine. But how elite these guys are at the top now, it's like I feel comfortable grabbing one of your top tier guys. It's just like I think fantasy football landscape has changed to where those guys are so valuable now. I think I'm going relatively top heavy quarterback as opposed to in the past. I always just punted quarterback, and I knew I was going to get a guy late that was going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not so much as like it has been in the past. Like you mentioned, the late round quarterback was always the trend, but now I'm definitely adopting that early stud quarterback. My favorite spot to draft a quarterback right now is that round 5 range with the Herbert, Lawrence, and Fields. I think you get great value right around that 5-6 round. But if I miss out on those, and I'm not reaching for them, but if I miss out on those, I'm totally fine getting a Deshaun or Tua as my quarterback 1. But I would then take another quarterback pretty early on in the back half of the draft to hedge my bet, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm trying to go for one of those top guys. We'll see once mocks come out. We've been doing a lot of underdog best ball, but that's obviously different. I'm going to get more redraft brained here soon, but I could see myself getting one of these top 7 guys in basically every draft. But anyways, it looks like we're both, I mean, I consider us high on Rodgers. I think ADP wise, it has him at 13.2 and I have him at 13. You have him at 14. So I guess we're pretty much close there with ADP. But anyways, Rodgers, talk to me about Rodgers. What do you have? What do you think for this Jets team? Are they going to get Dalvin? What's Rodgers' play going to be like?
Yeah,
I guess more so is Garrett Wilson going to be healthy? Is this ankle something to worry about?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We got to talk to Dr. Jesse Morse again, maybe, and get a little insight on this ankle injury. But I'm tempering expectations for Rodgers. I just think the team's going to be so efficient. I think the defense is going to be so good that I don't know. He's going to be great. They have a tough schedule for quarterbacks, like their 24th toughest schedule for quarterbacks. So I don't know. It's tough because he is a.
What is that? Like that's like some bullshit projection that analysts make.
Based strength of schedule. Strength of schedule. They take the previous year based on the defenses and how they limited quarterbacks. So they take that
24th chart. 24th hardest on quarterback for a bunch of defenses that we've never seen play this year. Got it. All right. Cool.
Sure, Mike. However you want to put it in your dumb brain that makes sense for you.
I mean,
everybody else
goes
off of a strength of schedule metric that is used for most for leagues.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Projected.
That makes sense. So I have Rodgers at 13 also. I have him at 13. I just think that offense is like they brought him in to win a Super Bowl, and they're going to add the weapons, potentially Dalvin Cook here. We'll find out this week. Wilson is like, talk about like an avatar wide receiver. That's what he is for me. He's probably the most pure talented wide receiver when it comes to like speed, range, catching ability for the future, like in this next generation of wide receivers. So I don't know. I don't think Rodgers is done. I think a lot of him having that drop off, it looked like in talent, was because he didn't love his situation. You know what I mean? Like he didn't love how things ended with the Packers. I think there was some tension there. I think it was just like,
Well, he didn't have the best weapons too after Devontae left.
That's what I mean. He wasn't happy that they didn't add weapons around him. That he's like, listen, I only have a few years left. Like, let's try to win a Super Bowl, or I need to go somewhere that will. So I think you're going to see a Rodgers that comes out and balls out. He's a guy that I would be another guy throwing that Jones, Prescott, Tua. Like I would be totally fine waiting on quarterback and going Rodgers because he's only a couple of years away from an MVP season and he's still that good. So we'll find out. Cousins there at 14. You have him at 13. I don't have anything to really say about Cousins, so you can give a quick take there, and we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins is pretty safe in my opinion. Finished as the quarterback 6 last year, 8 consecutive seasons, with at least 3,525 touchdowns. Like, he's just a beast. He's throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. They added another weapon with Jordan Addison. He's just a great pass friendly, pass first kind of offense. So I'm willing to take Kirk Cousins late in drafts as my QB1.
Do you think he's there next year?
I do. I think Kirk Cousins signs another contract next year.
So do you think they're going to win the division then?
No, I don't think they win. I don't think they need to for them to sign him to another contract.
So they're just going to continue to be mediocre, and they'll
until they find a better
option
at quarterback. Yeah, because I don't think the guy that they have behind him is going to be good enough. I don't think he's going to show enough, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to be the best option they have at quarterback, unless they draft a young guy, at which Kirk Cousins is still going to be around next year. So
that's so sad. But yeah, I probably agree, even though it's like I don't think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl on that team. So let's just continue to be mediocre. But I don't know. Anyways, I don't need to talk about him. Kirk Cousins is what he is. We saw, he's a solid fantasy quarterback. You can say what you want about him winning games in the playoffs, but that's not really why we're here. I could see them moving on from him if they don't win the division and maybe squeak into the playoffs. If they miss the playoffs, he's gone. I mean, what's the point? Why are you going to run it back with someone who you're
going to go rebuild
you missed the playoffs in the worst division in a bottom tier division in football? Why would you pay him a crazy amount of money to just be mediocre again?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just think he's going to give them the best option to win the division.
Be mediocre, yeah.
Ultimately be mediocre.
If he doesn't win the division this year, here's a bold prediction. If Kirk Cousins does not win the division this year, then he is not going to get a contract next year.
I disagree.
That would be asinine to do it. But Russell Wilson is who I have at 15. I have him there because I think he takes a step forward. You bring in Peyton. I think Judy's going to be awesome this year. I think Dulcich is going to be awesome this year. But between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, proven winners. So I think you're going to see them take at least a rebound from last year. I don't know. I could certainly see them in the playoff picture, so that would be exciting for them. But huge step forward this year, both winners between him and Peyton. That's kind of why I have them there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have him higher than ADP right now. We're just banking on him have some positive regression. He has a very friendly schedule for quarterbacks, and with Sean Payton, it's just I'm banking on that working out in their favor.
Yeah. Talk about Goff. You have him at 15. I have him at 17. Same kind of range. But go ahead and talk about Goff.
Yeah, Goff is kind of on the fringe for me as to like a bottom of the tier of comfortable quarterback ones. Like, I'm not comfortable with Goff, but I'm sure I can scrape by and make the playoffs in most fantasy leagues. He finished as quarterback 10 last year. Took a huge step from year 1 to year 2 in Detroit. Laporta, they bring in Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, they bring in more weapons in the passing game. So I think he has a very similar season than he had last year.
Yeah, I would not be comfortable with him as a QB1. I think there's such a difference between his points per game at home and his points per game away. So you would have to have a pretty solid backup there. I had him. I rostered him in a dynasty league. Luckily I have Kirk Cousins, so he's my QB2. But I have Goff, and I kind of caught on to that trend, so I was able to hit more than miss with him. But like, dude, you can't trust a guy that's going to put up single digits and then have a 30-point game. You know what I mean? I think that's why I like to go for the for a top tier quarterback this year, because you're going to get those 30 plus games and you're never going to really get a goose egg from your starting quarterback. So I do like Goff. I think that offense is going to be fun, score a lot of points, got a lot of weapons, but as my QB1, no thanks. Russell, even as a QB1, no thanks. Probably Cousins and up for me is where that stops. So call that a tier break, if you will.
Yeah, that's fine. My tier break is at Goff. I just think, I mean, he threw for over 4,400 yards last year. Yeah, I know this awesome. Splits. Huh?
He was awesome. He was awesome. I mean,
yeah. I mean, they have one of the best offensive lines in football. I think he led the league in touchdown to interception ratio. Like he didn't make a lot of mistakes. So, I completely understand where you're coming from. He's not someone I'm super comfortable with, but if I completely punt at the position and I get screwed, I'm somewhat okay going into the season. I'll make some moves when I need to.
Well, so before we move on from Goff, what is his
strength of schedule?
Strength versus quarterbacks.
7th. He has the 7th easiest schedule for quarterbacks this season.
Lock him in.
Yeah, I mean it's these are the types of things. Now, when you're looking at strength of schedule, I mean, just think about the division too. It's the NFC North.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these guys, a lot of these players, their strength of schedule has to do with those 6 games in the season where they're facing their division. So, he has a favorable schedule for quarterbacks.
So, perfect segue. I have Jordan Love at 16. His ADP is 23.5, and Fantasy Trucker has him at 23. So I'm clearly very high on Love this year. And I wanted to say that, like, I just think he's a very good quarterback. He's waited and been patient behind Rodgers. I think that only adds value for him. We saw him come in a little bit last year, and I was impressed with the way that he looked. The wide receiver room is maturing in Dobbs and Watson. They have a full year under their belt. Bring in Jaden Reed, safety blanket. You have Aaron Jones to kind of lean on, and then a couple young rookies that they're excited about at tight end. So this is a young offense that's going to grow together. They're projected to come in last place in the division in the NFC North. However, I think that they're going to win the division. They have a great defense, and I think Jordan Love is a lot better than everyone else thinks. So if I'm, after the season, if I'm, holding that bag where, oh, well, he was relatively average or they don't come out and wow people, but I think that Love is going to be a lot better than people think. So I'm willing to plant a flag on him.
And if you're liking that much, you're going to love this. His strength of schedule, he has the easiest schedule for quarterbacks.
Whammy!
So I figured you enjoy that. But yeah, no, I mean, he could be in line for a breakout season. So for a quarterback 2 or in 2 quarterback leagues, I'm willing to take a chance on him, and he could return some serious value on where you draft him.
Yeah, he's going to be my sleeper. You'll see him in a sleeper article. I'll be riding him pretty tough. So, I have Jared Goff at 17. I have Bryce Young at 18. You have him at 17. So that's kind of interesting to me, because I think just like if I would have guessed, I feel like I'm higher on Bryce Young than you are, but you're not necessarily low on him. I just think he's a genius. So tell me about Bryce, why you like him.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like about him coming out of college? I mean, he was the number 1 recruit for a reason. Durability is the main concern, but I think with what we've seen in Kyler, exactly, yeah. But it is the knock on him, But I think he'll be great, man. He had in college on 950 attempts, only 12 interceptions.
He's a genius. When I said he's a genius, I mean his IQ is extremely high. His feel for the game, the way he reads and sees, he is a genius quarterback. His brain is his strongest strength, and he has the talent to back it up. He doesn't physically, he's not 6'5", He's not Anthony Richardson physically, but how much smarter he is than Richardson is insane. Like,
Yeah,
he's an elite level NFL brain. And
yeah.
you saw it at Alabama. He would make those like Mahomes type plays where he'd scramble out of the pocket and find someone in space. Like,
Yeah, I was just going to mention that when he goes out into space, he doesn't look to run the ball. He looks to make a play with his arm. And that's just so it seems like it's going to translate so well in the NFL based on what Mahomes has been doing. So, yeah. Absolutely. I think Bryce is going to have I think he's going to be the best rookie quarterback out of
100%.
This entire class.
100%. I'm so excited for him. I want to see them build weapons around him. I think Chark will have a good year. Elin, we'll see physically how up to speed he still is, but I want to see weapons come around him because I'm not a really huge on any of them. But anyways, then I guess our next big talking point is Geno Smith and Anthony Richardson. You have Smith at 18, Richardson 19. I have Smith at 25 and Richardson at 26. So give me your take there, and I'll kind of back it up.
Yeah, I'll start with Geno. It's no secret as to what he was able to accomplish last year was pretty remarkable. Quarterback 5, threw for over 4,200 yards and 30 touchdowns. Led the league in completion percentage, 4th in touchdown passes. Like, the guy played out of his mind last year. And what the Seahawks did was they just got him more weapons. So to me, I have him ranked not where he finished because I don't think he's going to repeat what he did last year. There's going to be some regression. That's a given. But I still think he deserves to be in that conversation of top 20 quarterbacks. And I can't wait to see if he can repeat anywhere near what he did last year. And I think with the team around him, he's capable of doing it.
Yeah, Geno, for me, like, I have him laughably low because I think he's laughably bad.
That's a good way to put it.
he had an incredible year. I think it's an anomaly. To be completely honest, like, I don't know that he's going to be their quarterback. I don't buy him being their quarterback for, I want to say, not like he's not even going to last this entire year, but they probably give him a year because of how good he was last year. But I think this offseason, they're going to be looking for a new guy.
They extended him for 3 years.
Right. And I'm saying they're going to like see this year that he's dog shit. And then they're going to be like, maybe we should start looking at another guy.
Yeah. He does not have a favorable schedule for quarterbacks.
Here's a bold prediction. I have Geno Smith leading the NFL in interceptions.
Okay. Bold prediction. Spicy.
Which I don't know. I would have to look at the odds to see if he's even in the top 5, and if he is, then I would stand by that. But if they think he's just not going to really sling it, then that could change things. But if he's in the top 5 in terms of odds with Vegas, I would say bold prediction: Geno Smith leads the NFL in picks.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was top of the league at throwing deep. 60% of his on targets rate was 20 yards or deeper. So he's like, you're gonna see some regression there. And in Mike's case, he's expecting a lot of regression because to lead the league in deep ball accuracy, to go to most interceptions in the league is quite the jump. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Richardson, honestly, I probably need to move down after recent articles came out. I know, Mike, you're going to mention that, but if he does end up starting the majority of the season, he's the type of guy that is athletic enough to really be a league beater. So if he ends up somehow putting it all together, the odds are low. Obviously, I don't have him. I think he's my 20th right now, or 19th. I could probably bring him down to the mid-20s realistically when I go to look at it again. But I don't know. He just seems like he's capable of doing it. I know you disagree. You don't like the guy.
Yeah, I just think he sucks, and he's potentially not going to start. The article said week 10. I think that's insane. I think like week 6 would probably be reasonable. But even if he's out weeks and he doesn't play until week 6, like I just don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. You hear everything about his talent and how he's going to work his ass off, or his athletic ability, and that he's going to work his ass off. But I just don't think I think he's going to crumble when he sees how fast the game is in the NFL. To me, he had flashes in the college, but he couldn't really do anything in the SEC. So what makes you think he's going to come in and blow up the NFL? Cam Newton was this guy at one point, and Cam Newton fucking dominated the SEC. He dominated Oregon. Like he established himself as the best player by far. I mean, I saw him play LSU when I was there, and he just like, you knew that they were like, he was the best player. He fucking dragged Patrick Peterson like 20 yards for a touchdown on a run. Like he was so much better than everyone. And Richardson wasn't. He just was never. I don't even know if they were like, if they were above 500 under Richardson.
Yeah.
So
it was
to me,
bad.
he's just not a good quarterback. He's an athlete, but like that doesn't. In order to be a good quarterback in the NFL, you have to be a good quarterback. That's my stance on him. I think he's trash.
No, I would agree with you more than I would disagree with you. Like, I think he is still capable of putting it together in the NFL. So I'm still holding on a glimmer of hope. But, I mean, chances are you're probably right. And that's just the fact of it. He just didn't show enough in college. And this team is not good. I could see them, even if he doesn't start the first 5 weeks and they don't win a single game those first 5 weeks, like when he comes in, not much is going to change. So.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford. I have him at 19. You have him at 22. I'm not going to say much because we know what he is, and we know what that offense is with him. So can he be healthy is the question, and I can't answer that for you. So I have him in 19, saying that, I like Stafford, and I think Kupp is awesome. So Akers should take a step forward, but it's all about his health. That's all I got to say there.
Yeah, he's a risky pick. Spinal contusion, those spinal injuries are nothing to mess around with. So, I mean, the team's just doesn't seem to be looking very good. Like their offensive line is terrible, and Stafford is not a mobile guy. He's a statue back there. So that's usually not a recipe for success.
Yeah, you took that right out of Dr. Jesse Morse's mouth.
Yeah, he used a different verbiage.
I think he said exactly that he was a statue.
Towards the end of what he was saying, yes, but the original, he used a term for it. I don't know what the exact term he used. No, the statue was in layman's terms, he's a statue, but we got to go back and listen because I'd like to find out the term he used.
Yeah, we'll clip that. So that's funny. Yeah, I totally agree, though. Derek Carr, I'm at 20, you, I'm at 21. I mean, like, we'll see what he is. Saints are a good football team, and he's going to have a chance to win the division. So because of that, I do like Carr. I think he's got some opportunity. He's a veteran quarterback that can step into a situation like that and succeed. That being said, like, he's not the greatest arm. He's a good game manager. He'll have some big games, but top 20.
Yeah, maybe. I mean that's fair. Being drafted at on average 22.8 quarterback. So they do have a based on the strength of schedule metric, it's top 3 of easiest schedule for quarterbacks. So that's take it as you will. But he throws for over 4,000 yards in 4 of the last 5 seasons. Like he still slings the ball. He's probably got a chip on his shoulder based on how last season ended. So, but I agree with you. He's not a sexy pick at all.
No, I got Kenny Pickett, who is a sexy pick.
Sexy Pickett.
Sexy Pickett. I got him at 21. His ADP's 21.6. I'm high. I like Pickett a lot more than others. I mean, I know how you feel about you have him at 25, so you're a little bit lower. I know how you feel about Matt Canada. I just think that Pickett has an arm and he is a franchise quarterback and he has good chemistry with Pickens. Deontay Johnson, we've seen what he's done. So, Freiermuth, sure-handed tight end. They're going to be pretty good, I think. I may even probably have to change. I know we did our conference review, and I had them at like 6-11. They're probably going to win a couple more games than that. They're going to get some tough wins in the division. You know what I mean? They're just the Steelers. That's what they do. So I think Pickett's going to be good. I don't know what else to say there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be another year before Pickett really takes those strides for him to be good. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns last year. He got better as the year went on, throwing only one pick in the final 8 games. So he's making progress. But they had the second worst yards per attempt in the league, terrible offense, and his weapons didn't help much. I mean, they had a league low of 4 yards after the catch. So when your team isn't doing more after they catch the ball, it's going to affect your numbers. So, but I agree with you. He's promising. He has a lot of potential with that offense. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to just rattle off my 22 through 30. I don't need to talk about a lot of these guys. So CJ Stroud, 22, Tannehill, 23, Garoppolo, 24, Geno and Richardson at 25 and 26, Mac Jones, Desmond Ridder, Howell, and Baker Mayfield. You can, I don't know if you want to spend some time anywhere, but I'm going to just kind of list mine off and throw it over to you.
Yeah, no, this bottom tier, man, they're all pretty much interchangeable to me. A couple guys have more promise and more hope than others, but yeah, 22 to 30, I got Stafford, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy, Desmond Ridder, Trey Lance, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill. So
yeah. If you feel very strongly about one of those guys, go ahead and grab them like late and maybe stash them if you have a big bench, or if you're in a keeper league, go ahead and get them. I mean, I know last year I felt extremely strong about Trevor Lawrence, and we took him in the last round in a keeper league. So if you kind of have that type of feel about someone, go ahead and do it. I think Stroud would probably be my guy there. Because I'm not very high on Howell or Ridder, and I think I know what you got in Garoppolo, Tannehill, Mac Jones, Mayfield, Geno. So that's kind of how I feel. I'm ready to wrap these up. I mean, I want to say why I don't have Trey Lance and Purdy in my rankings is because I want to see that play out. I was previously very strong about how I felt here. Trey Lance is going to win the job. He's going to take off and be the guy that, they intended him to be, drafting him 3rd overall. I think it's my mindset, my confidence level has changed a little bit just because I think like the Niners might be pretty stubborn in this Purdy thing. So Lance may not win this job out of camp. He may have to see Brock Purdy fail first, which I
definitely
think,
a possibility.
Which I think he will, because I think he's also dog shit. I think he's a great game manager, but I don't think his arm's impressive. I don't know if they're going to look for him to make throws, and quite frankly, the Niners could probably win games without him, making incredible deep throws. But I don't understand why you got rid of Jimmy G if that's what you're not looking for. So it's kind of weird to me. But that's why I don't have either of them ranked. I still think Lance is, their best shot at finding that guy who can take them further than Jimmy G could. Because to me, Brock Purdy is not. So whether if he's a starter week 1, he's going to lose the job. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that happening. The games that he won last year were from, not so good defenses. So, will he do it again this year? Will he win the games that against, outside of the top 10 defenses? Sure. But I do think he'll make some mistakes somewhere down the road and really screw things up, screw the pooch.
So you're gonna have to buckle up and find out.
I love it. All right, everybody, stay tuned for the rest of the week. We got some big shows lined up. So, Mike said, everybody, buckle up.